Hello guys, and Russians have developed real dronophobia. Now they see Ukrainian drones literally everywhere and specifically around their strategic military objects, oil refineries, arsenals, and locomotives. Because recently the Ukrainian forces of the south managed to destroy a Russian locomotive that was carrying 13 tanks and lots of weapons. It was totally wiped out by perhaps Ukrainian drones. But we don't have any precise information coming from the Ukrainian army. But Russian vloggers, Russian Telegram channels are full of the descriptions of another Spiderweb. According to their sources, drones appeared miraculously from the same locomotive that they destroyed. I don't mind, maybe this really happened, then it's another spider web on the railway of Russia. But even if it was done in a different way and Russians once again associate that with a spider web, this demonstrates a tremendous trauma they've experienced with the success of our operation and also with the fear and panic that spreads inside the Russian society. Population, I should say, because they do not demonstrate any civil behavior traits. But they actually have the reasons to be afraid. If we have a look at the events of this week, we may say that the demilitarization of Russia was pretty effective. We've targeted a Crimean breach, paralyzing it seriously. We have neutralized three Iskander systems, which means a lot of innocent lives saved. We've targeted the military airfields in Bryansk, Engels, Dyagilevo, and many more. Let's discuss all of that in the video. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, subscribe, we discuss all of that on the channel. And please share the videos if you share my opinion. So recently, just a day ago, Ukraine destroyed a Russian locomotive full of tanks and weapons. They were trying to deliver these instruments of war close to the front lines. But what is interesting, typically they do not use this railroad because it is closely located to the Ukrainian defense forces of the south. And this also proves that the damage to the Crimean breach was serious, because otherwise they would have used Crimean breach, Kerch Bridge and its railroad part to deliver those tanks and those weapons to the front lines. And they could not. They have chosen a different road, which turned out to be very explosive and dangerous. So in the result of that drone or not drone operation, Russia lost 13 tanks and hundreds of weapons, and Ukraine saved hundreds of innocent lives. This is something that Donald Trump constantly forgets when he comments on the Russian war in Ukraine. He keeps equating my country with the invaders, forgetting one very important fact. We defend our motherland, and Russia commits war crimes on a daily basis while destroying international world order, which will always bring problems also to the United States and every country in the world. Because you see, there are a lot of experts who start talking about future conflicts appearing, for example, in the Pacific, not only on the Balkans or in the Baltics. And all because unpunished evil grows. Unfortunately, some people did not learn the lessons from the Second World War, and that's exactly what Trump demonstrated, this negligence, this ignorance, when he spoke with Chancellor Merz and very inappropriately commented on the victory in the Second World War. But we continue teaching Russia, and these geography lessons are expanding because Ukrainian drones are able to reach deeper and deeper inside the Russian Federation. Apart from this destroyed locomotive, this week Russia lost a lot of various weapons, aircraft, helicopters, and other things that they actually do not produce in the numbers they need. as this Putin's blitzkrieg keeps failing and failing together with the Kremlin and its economy. Please subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine and to witness this end of Putin's regime together. So, what is interesting that this week was totally focused on the demilitarization of Russia and the destruction of their instruments of war. I think it has already shaped into one of many strategies to make this world a safer place. You know that we've succeeded a lot with the destruction of the oil refineries, and that led to serious troubles inside the oil industry in Russia. And also, now we focus on the erasing of the strategic aviation. The Spiderweb operation was brilliant, and in the result of it, Russia lost 41 aircraft, including 2 A-50s, which are super expensive and very rare. One can cost $318 million, and they are known as flying radars. They actually helped Russian bombers target Ukrainian cities. Losing them, Russia becomes more weak, and it's more and more difficult for them to attack the frontline territories. What is also interesting, attacks continued on other strategic military air bases, and this week our drones visited ones in Engels, named after communist leader Friedrich Engels, because Russia is still a very communist country. Then Dyahilevo Air Base and the one in Bryansk. What is interesting in one of these air bases in Nizhny Novgorod, a Lukoil oil refinery was also in great trouble. And by targeting strategic military air bases, we actually neutralized their bombers already charged with missiles that they wanted to use against Ukrainian people, against Ukrainian children sleeping in their beds. Because if you witness those attacks that Russia makes during these days, describing them as a revenge for Spiderweb, it's totally incomparable. And once again, even Russian military vloggers are dissatisfied because it's not a military success, to wound or to kill a sleeping child in a bed. The military success is to wipe out a third of your strategic aviation that was actually dangerous not just for Ukraine, but even for the United States or Australia, because Russia keeps threatening the world with their hatred, disrespect, and this constant violation of all the rules that helped this world survive these decades after the Second World War. What this Operation Spiderweb has demonstrated is that we've changed the rules and the strategies of war. And many countries that possess nuclear weapons realized that they are no more protected, no more fully protected, because inexpensive drones can actually reach the air bases where strategic bombers stay, or submarines or aircraft capable of carrying nuclear warheads. And something that seemed, a guarantee of strength, of military strength, is no more like that. It changes the warfare in general. Let me know in the comments below, would you like a separate video about that? Because I watched a number of really quality expert interviews about this tremendous shift in the warfare. And to tell you the truth, war always brings technological progress, because nations want to survive, and they start working on the technologies that otherwise could have evolved, a century later. A bad example was nuclear weapons. The Second World War inspired that, and it appeared way earlier than this typical scientific development would come. And right now it's drone warfare. Drones are changing everything. Inexpensive FPVs destroy billions of dollars in Russian aircraft. That's a precedent, and trust me, this will continue. And to be protected, To be knowledgeable, you need Ukraine. You need Ukraine in NATO. And you need to support our NAFO campaign because we've decided to prolong it. And we have a new patch to make it more interesting. And that is a beautiful patch with Maluk, the head of SBU, and author of the beautiful Spiderweb that keeps destroying Russian confidence and all the panic and fear that we observe right now in the Kremlin and on the military objects is because of that beautiful man. So do support the campaign, help us get more drones so you can guess why we need them, what they actually do. They implement the only working peace plan to defeat and demilitarize Russia. And subscribe, that's important because the world is still poisoned by Russian disinformation and propaganda. And F-16 this week brought a good result to the Ukrainian armed forces when targeted Russian Su-35 and destroyed that in Kursk direction of the Russian Federation. Yes, that is the new reality that somehow people in the White House, for example, constantly forget about. Dozens of Russian regions are now a war zone. It was totally different back in 2014. No one threatened Russia, but now, yes. Because it's obvious we have to defend ourselves, and we understand that Russia is an enemy that will keep attacking, destroying, killing until fully demilitarized. And trust me, that's the good solution even for the people inside Russia. When we destroy the Iskander missile systems, 3 of them this week, sums up for that, because that's really great. I'm so angry as a Ukrainian that we try to survive. We're doing our best. We're developing new technologies. We're surprising the world. And your media, your presidents keep speaking about the invincibility of Russia. What will they say when all of that collapses really quickly, just as Russian empires always do? Remember what happened to the Russian Empire, then the Soviet Union, and now this final Frankenstein will collapse. Trust me, we smell that. And that also comes from these fires on Russian oil refineries, on Russian military air bases, and when Crimea Bridge was damaged by an underwater blast. Just imagine, with all the attention that Russian FSB pays to this bridge, protecting it as a symbol of Russian annexation of Crimea, they fail. And in 1,100 kilos, well, like more than a ton of explosives, destroyed the bases of that Crimea bridge. And once again, it may be the reasons why they had to use that locomotive riding a different, more dangerous branch of the railroad, and it resulted, in the destruction of 13 tanks and hundreds of weapons. Because they are afraid to use Crimea bridge severely damaged, underwater, with all the care and attention from FSB, with Spiderweb, with the attack on Crimean bridge, with the attack on locomotive. We demonstrate not only the real absence of Russian air defense, the vulnerability of theirs, like when we saw that Russia does not control its borders in 2 regions at least, but we also demonstrate that FSB is weak. It is really strong when watching their citizens and what they are talking about in their kitchens. But it totally loses the game when we talk about serious intelligence data. And this is beautiful. That is another victory of Ukraine. This fake image that Russia keeps demonstrating, and people like Donald Trump keep following that, like it's so funny that right now Donald Trump is afraid of Russia and Russia is afraid of Ukraine. That's beautiful. But many of the American leaders, including George Bush, before the collapse of the USSR, did not believe it was possible and kept saying, no, don't do it. And then it all collapsed less than a year after his famous chicken Bush speech. And yes, I mean chicken just like taco. And if you want to know more about this early years after the collapse of the USSR and then renewed Ukrainian independence, watch my new video with very personal memories and also a funny story why I ate only half an ice cream in my childhood, I connect a link to the video here. And remember to subscribe to my new channel Anna Danilchuk with weekly videos about what is life like during these very challenging times. And it seems like both my childhood was in really challenging times, the collapse of the USSR, and right now. Interesting, like we all feel we live in the history book. Let me know what are the other topics you would like to hear on this channel. Remember to check our merch shop. We have an amazing merch drop, summer drop, with some t-shirts that also celebrate Spiderweb, and I like them a lot. If you want to start your conversations about Ukraine, about our military victories, consider getting some of these products because they really work as conversation starters. Follow me on X, I'm active there, on Instagram. I share more of my everyday life there on Threads and Blue Sky, and of course, join our amazing and friendly Discord community. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, giving me opportunity to film and write more, and that's a blessing and an honor. I'm very grateful to all of you beautiful people, and thank you so much for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!